Man is the gardener who plants and waters the seed, and woman is the earth which receiveth and nurtures the sapling. Greetings, mortals, and a capital day to you all. I am your host Simeon, and you are tuning in to the Library of Gnosis. Welcome! The term monad comes from the Greek word monas, which means one or unity. It is the universal soul that animates all living things. Perhaps even those things we consider dead. It is the primordial unity, which is beyond description, as it is the collection of all opposites. A paradox beyond words. Yet, from its emanations, we can get a vague idea of its true nature. As I imagine it, when our world of duality emerged, the monad emanated two beings to represent its dual and androgynous nature. From a Mesopotamian lens, the male principle became Anu, and the female principle became Antu. According to the Mesopotamian texts, Anu and Antu were sometimes equated with each other, pointing towards their androgynous origin. In Mesopotamian astronomy, the sky was divided into three zones, with the stars closest to the pole belonging to Enlil, and those close to the equator to Ea. The stars located between these two zones were the domain of Anu. All three were referred to as the ways of the respective deities. In Seleucid Uruk, Anu's astral role was extended further, and in a text composed in year 71 of the Seleucid era, he is described as responsible for the entire firmament. Furthermore, two circumpolar stars started to be called the great Anu and Antu of heaven, and received offerings as if they were deities. They typically appear alongside the other 7 major celestial bodies which were known to the Mesopotamian astronomers in the late 1st millennium BCE. A small number of sources, including the god list An equals Anu, treat Antu as deified earth. An old Babylonian lexical list, Diri, equates her with Urash, an earth goddess also associated with Anu. It has also been suggested that the phrase An Uras, occurring on seals from the Kassite period, agreed to represent a compound of two theonyms, might also have been understood as Anu Antu. Antu might have also played the role of earth in formulaic references to Anu, representing the sky, inseminating the ground with his rain. Thorkild Jacobson in the 1970s asserted that as an extension of this belief, rain was believed to come out of Antu's breasts, which according to his assumption were envisioned as clouds. In text from Seleucid Uruk, Antu almost always appears alongside Anu, as argued by Johan Gudnik Westenholz. The local theologians effectively treated the pair as one single divine manifestation. He argues that the process of their elevation can therefore be seen as a part of a broader phenomenon focused on predominance of city gods, rather than city goddesses, in the late period of Mesopotamian antiquity, which was linked to henotheist tendencies. In a trilingual edition of the Widener God List from Ugarit, Antu corresponds to the entries Asti Anvis in the Hurrian column, and Tahamatu in the Ugaritic column. The first of these names does not represent an actual deity, and instead is a neologism invented by the text's compilers, who provided Anu under a Hurrian variant of his name, with a wife whose Hurrian name would be similarly derived from his own, literally the wife of Ani. The second can be translated as the deep waters, and presumably represented the freshwater springs in the proximity of Ugarit. Though I suspect that there is a connection here with Namu, who was a Mesopotamian goddess regarded as a creator deity in the local theology of Eridu. It is assumed that she was associated with water. Jan Lisman, who views Namu as having been a representation of the primordial ocean, sea, from which the rest of the cosmos emerged, believes that Namu's association with this body of water may have come from the influence of the goddess Tiamat. Namu was regarded as the mother of Enki, and in a single inscription, she appears as the wife of Anu. Rosicrucians believe that if everything came from nothing, then the male active principle must be counteracted by the female passive principle, and both put together equate to zero, or nothing. Nothing is a pretty good description of the monad, since how does one define nothing? Does it exist or does it not? Is it positive or negative? In many esoteric and mystical traditions, the monad represents the absolute origin, the single, indivisible source of all creation. When the alchemist speaks of Mercurius, on the face of it he means quicksilver, mercury. But inwardly, he means the world-creating spirit, concealed or imprisoned in matter. The dragon is probably the oldest pictorial symbol in alchemy, of which we have documentary evidence. It appears as the Ouroboros, the tail eater, in the Codex Marcianus, which dates from the 10th or 11th century, together with the legend, the One, the All. Time and again the alchemists reiterate that the opus proceeds from the One and leads back to the One. That it is a sort of circle like a dragon biting its own tail. For this reason, the opus was often called circulare, circular, or else rota, the wheel. Mercurius stands at the beginning and end of the work. He is the prima materia, the caput corvi, the nigredo. As dragon he devours himself, and as dragon he dies, to rise again in the lapis. He is the plenty of colors in the cauda pavonis, and the division into the four elements. He is the hermaphrodite that was in the beginning, that splits into the classical brother-sister duality, and is reunited in the coniunctio, to appear once again at the end in the radiant form of the lumen novum, the stone. He is metallic, yet liquid, matter, yet spirit, cold, yet fiery, poison, and yet a healing draught, a symbol uniting all the opposites. Carl Jung. Anu, embodying the masculine principle, represents a positive, active, and assertive force, while Antu, the feminine principle, symbolizes a receptive, yielding, and nurturing force. Together, they are expressions of a primordial duality. reflecting the monad's inherent ability to divide itself into opposites. Despite their distinct roles, Anu and Antu maintain an interconnectedness that reflects an androgynous origin, pointing to their unified state before differentiation. The duality of Anu and Antu signifies the fundamental polarities present in all of creation. This dualistic interplay is necessary to bring about existence, but it also implies that creation itself is ultimately rooted in an original, undivided whole. Positive and negative, male and female, active and passive, these are all expressions of the dual nature of reality that originated from the monad. Neither is inherently superior or complete on its own. Rather, they exist in a dynamic balance, each defining and giving meaning to the other. If everything arises from nothing, then this original nothingness is not a state of emptiness, but a balanced potential. A 0 point containing all possibilities within itself. The male and female principles, as positive and negative forces, act as complements that together neutralize each other, returning to the state of 0 or nothingness from which they emerged. This 0 point represents a state of unity in duality, where all contrasts dissolve and opposites merge. Here, nothing is not the absence of reality, but the perfect equilibrium from which all reality is born. The idea that duality creates a balanced 0 suggests that the cosmos is underpinned by a harmony of opposites, and that true unity lies beyond duality. It is the reconciliation of all polarities. In this view, creation is both a manifestation of these balanced forces and a return to the original unity, as each dual aspect seeks to rejoin with its counterpart. The monad, therefore, is both the source and the resolution of all opposites, representing the mystery of creation as a continuous dance between unity and duality, being and non-being, fullness and emptiness. Just as we have 2 eyes and 2 feet, duality is a part of life. Carlos Santana. The beginning came first, but now comes the end. If you made it this far, then write unity through division, so I know you did. If you enjoy this video and want to get access to early releases of my videos, and the scripts which include my sources, then feel free to check out my Patreon. I would like to thank you all for watching, and I will see you, yes, specifically you listening, in the next broadcast. Godspeed, mortals!